Uh, well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Friday in the Riv. And today we are scheduled to have a
Ah,
guest
and it
on.
looks like he's just showing up now. So that's
Oh,
good.
okay.
I'll
So,
bring him in a second. Go ahead.
all right.
Continue what you were saying.
All right, just welcome everybody. It's Friday in the Riv, and we had a shooting on Eastern Avenue. Five bullets were supposedly spent, and one did hit a building. So if Josh is watching today, you can tell Paul somebody else got a bullet in their house. Maybe now that there's two, he'll pay attention. I don't know. There are probably more, but so I guess that we looks like we have uh, our mayoral candidate, Gabriel Amaral, is on, and so without further ado, we will bring him on the show. Good
Welcome,
afternoon.
Mr. Amaral.
Good afternoon, Boomer.
Good afternoon. How we doing, gentlemen? Sorry, I had to get kids situated
No,
and
Not a
that's
problem.
dinner
not that's
We
prepped
were
and
just, we're
stuff.
that's
just
So,
coming
not
up.
quite. It's quite all right. Uh, so normally when we do this, it's not like a debate. We always give the candidate. Why don't you like tell everybody, and we'll get more people on as we so, and they'll be sharing it anyway. But tell everybody kind of like a little bit about your background, why you decided to run for mayor, and things that you think of uh, that people would really want to know.
okay. I mean, the list is ongoing.
Yeah,
The
we
more
understand that. We
the
understand that, but
more
I mean,
more enthralled you get in this game, the more it's like, oh my god, I didn't even know that it was that bad. I just thought it was bad enough from my purview. So the list just keeps growing on why I need to run or somebody needs to run, right? I just happen to be the lucky one that has to deal with it, I guess, and get torn apart on a daily basis.
well,
So
welcome to politics. That's the first
yeah,
thing.
I mean, I expect the nonsense. I don't mind it. I just don't mind when it's when it's factual stuff. I'm all for it. Like, go ahead. I'm okay with it. I am far from perfect. I'll be the first one to tell you or anybody else. I am far from perfect. But somebody has to be able to just take the hits and keep going forward. And it just I happen to be the lucky one right now, and I'm all for it. So. I'm sure there's more coming. I'm sure they're going to try even harder. But when they thought the whole thing with my divorce and ex-family and all that stuff was going to work, and when that didn't work out the way they thought it would, now I look forward to the next, coup that they'll try. So,
Yeah.
and when that doesn't work, I'm sure there'll be some kind of recall effort, or God only knows.
Well, hopefully there won't be a recall effort, but no, you're right, and obviously everybody's different. A lot of people, as you know, I've gone on record often about not. I don't like to mix other issues with politics. We try to stay with the person's political philosophies, their platforms, and I don't care if my plumber is not a guy I want to have a hamburger with, but as long as he can fix my plumbing, it's the same with the city. The
Right.
city is in a dire situation. Anybody with eyes can see that, and as you said, I mean, and the thing is that you're new to the game, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm sure you've already learned this by now that it's only going to get worse because the
Yeah.
closer it gets to the election, when you're running against a candidate that has such a horrible record, that they're going to do everything they can to deflect away from the issues over to personal attacks or whatever it takes. Or that's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately. So,
I expect it. I'm okay with that. This man's hiding every which way he can. You notice he's not out there. I'm on every show, every episode. I've not backed down from a single thing. I'm the only one who's been to every debate, every interview offered. I wanted to do all debates live for the audience, a live audience. I said take over BCC, get the auditorium, do whatever we got to do for the people to be there. This man, I have the messages to prove it, is fighting to get it to be done only in studio. So both debates now will be in studio. There will be no live people, personnel around. Just and come to find out now the new panel is including WSAR, who hasn't allowed me a single second of airtime, but the mayor is on there. Paul, I can't even call him the mayor because he's not. So Paul is on there, and they owe me, I think, as of right now, I'd say 3 hours of airtime, and based on my calculations, and FCC agrees, I imagine. So we're gonna find that out. But how can you go on the sixth floor report with the person running your campaign? You are campaigning, but yet you can't even answer a phone call from a candidate. You can't even call a candidate. You can't invite a candidate to come on. Nothing. So you're telling everybody, oh, we're not doing it. We're staying out of the politics stuff. We're staying out of the politics stuff, which never happens. I would stay out of it too if that was my candidate. I would definitely not want the people to hear the guy going against me if I was him. However, if you can do that, but
oh, so, I don't. Looks like we had a glitch. I don't know if City Hall's got people out there trying to. Looks like he lost his feed.
Yeah, now we've lost him.
Yeah, wait a minute.
He's back.
every time someone calls my phone, it kicks me out. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
But I will, every time it happens, I will be back in. But my phone is nonstop, if you can imagine. But I will get back in. It just takes a couple seconds.
No, absolutely, not a problem. Yeah.
I became a pro at this thanks to David Mead's show, because I get called all the time during his show, and he's on there for 3 hours. But yeah, so he's basically, they're going to come in, so he's going to get the questions now. I do not believe Florida Reporter or FRC Media has done that through any of this, and if they did, and he still did that poorly, then good for him. But I don't believe they did. I believe they were fair throughout this time for the most part. Just based on my reviews and their reviews.
Disagree with you. I do not believe,
and that's okay. And that's okay. I'm just saying, in my opinion, I think they've been fair with me. I don't think the questioning was crazy. And honestly, if they did give him questions and he still did that poorly, who cares? I'd rather them give him the question. If he's going to perform like that, give him all the questions. Go for it.
He's not the greatest.
The reason why I say that is when BCC took us off the air on trumped-up complaints, we were offered to come back as long as we signed an agreement that tied our hands and gagged us. Okay? But we were taken off the air because Paul said, if you don't get him off the air, we're taking away your money.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah, and that's what happened. And this is why I can no longer trust FRC Media with anything. And
I'm just going based on the questioning. I'm just going based on that.
And I've noticed the questioning of the school committee. That was a joke. But that was the closest thing to a real debate I've ever seen. So
listen, let's not get into that stuff, because if Boone was satisfied with they did it, I mean, whether they give him the questions or not, it's irrelevant. I mean, he's not a great debater.
I think this debate is going to be that way. I do believe, obviously, WSAL is getting involved for a reason. Herald News getting involved for a reason. Yeah. They do the targeting for him, and they're going to come out and do what they do. But like anything else, I'll be right here. We'll be able to see it, and I have no problem calling it out live and making sure everybody understands exactly what they're doing.
No, well, I mean, obviously, that's one of the issues that is paramount, that we've been calling him out for a long time, and people have been calling him out, as a lack of transparency. There's no transparency in this city at all. I mean, North Korea is more transparent. You get more. You can get more from Kim Jong-un, whatever his name is over there. You can get more information from North Korea than we can in the city of Fall River. And this is the problem. I mean, when the taxpayers of Fall River are not, they refuse to give the city council the amount of lawsuits that they were liable to because of his lack of leadership and all the lawsuits they have created. We have Houston, we have a problem here, and this is something you have to do. And of course, we suck at radio. We know that's a extremely biased media outlet, and but you have to do what you have to do and reach the people. And this is what we're trying to give you the opportunity to do, because there are issues out there, and we can prioritize ours, obviously. And to me, as I always have said without hesitation, the first step has to be a forensic audit, not any kind of audit by the Secretary of State. That's already been done. When I filed an arbitration against the city and commissioned the forensic audit by Ernst & Young, we found we could have actually put the entire financial team of the city of Fall River in jail. It wasn't why I went to arbitration. I went to it about them taking over $2 million of our money and putting it in their account and forgot about it. You can't find that with a standard audit. You can't do it with a political audit. And during that testimony under oath, the financial team and the auditor who had done audits on the city of Fall River, even the state audit, said that they were not true audits. They were what they call a reconciliation and a recreation. They just make sure the numbers fit. A forensic audit is geared to make sure that the money is there legally.
That searches for the criminality behind it.
Yeah, it's not. Well, that's a lot of people get nervous about forensic audits because it is used in criminal cases, because it does look for compliance with law, and this is the kind of audit they use in court. They don't use a state, a state audit or even a city audit, which is annually required, by the way, required. And there's also an additional annual audit of the healthcare system, and that's why I grieved it. And that's the thing. You really got to look. You've got to get an outside, perfectly nothing. And they admitted under oath that they couldn't do it. They didn't do an audit. That's not forensic is the only way to do it, because obviously one of the problems the city is facing, Boomer, is that non-compliance with law in the way they spend money.
In so many facets of government here. Exactly. I agree. So I was on the phone. It was about like 48 minutes or so. I'll have to go back and look for the exact number, but it was about 48 minutes or so with the state auditor, who's still trying to audit the state, right? Just to pick her brain, just to learn, just to see where I can go from here and what I can do from a certain point. Who do I got to talk to next? That kind of stuff, because I don't have the answers and the legalities to everything, right? Like, I'm not that guy. But I know how to find those people, and I know who to talk to get to those people. And that's my goal, right? To try to find, okay, who's actually going to get the job done that we need done? Because as a taxpayer, not even a mayoral candidate, I want to know where my money's been going. I want to know why my taxes went from $3,300 to $8,000 a year. I want to know what changed. I want to know why. I want to know why the marijuana industry has grown from one or two dispensaries to 9 to 11 dispensaries, but yet the tax money is still exactly the same. Why is that? How is that? I want to know why, and where the other $3.3 million on average a year in excise taxes that is just going into the general fund. That's $18 million over the last 6 years. That would fix our fire department issues. Where did that money go? I want to know these things. I'm told to some extent forensic.
Okay.
Somebody had made the comment that he should put his phone on airplane mode. If he put his phone on airplane mode, he wouldn't be able to connect to us at all. So that's not possible. What should have been done, but again, you can't do this because you can't control everyone else, is say, hey, don't call me.
I'm trying. I'm like, God.
Oh no, I know that. I was just saying.
I don't even know how do I turn it on do not disturb? I don't even know. I've never turned my phone on do not disturb. How do I do that? Hold on.
You can't.
I wish we all knew. because
Yeah.
we have the same problem. But
How do I turn my phone on Do Not Disturb, Landon?
Oh,
we have a question.
see the focus thing?
Yeah.
It says do not disturb.
Okay.
Okay,
People can call you, but I.
All right. My 11-year-old figured it out. We're good.
there you go. Isn't that
This
embarrassing?
is why he never answers my calls.
This is what happens to all of us who are a little older. Our kids and our kids and our grandkids, in my case, tell me how to run a phone. So it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
I've just never had my phone ignored. I've never ignored anybody, And
We
with
do
all my
have-
kids running around, I
we
want to
do
make sure
have a
they're good.
if
What do you got?
if you're the mayor, will you not do the shit that this guy is doing now, threatening people and about their jobs and
Well,
that's-
I don't know if you watched the interview today on Forever Reporter with Seth Aiken, giving us an inside look on how corrupt things really are, and that's just scratching the surface of what he can say, right? Seth Aiken went on the Forever Reporter today talking about how they don't investigate certain things and certain people, and how Paul is a weak leader, basically, which we all know this. Obviously, he's not a leader at all. He does what he's told, and he's a good boy. So I highly doubt I'm going to take any advice or any insight or anything from this administration as far as how to lead the city. Will I make some mistakes? I'm sure I will. Is there a learning curve and some things that are going to suck to be fed through a fire hose? I'm sure there will. No different than anything else I've done in life. But I didn't know how to be a dad once, right? I didn't know how to be a soldier once. I didn't know how to be a leader once. Like we figure it out. But I'm trying to minimize that by utilizing quality people around me, utilizing the intelligence around me. I assure you, nobody's jobs. Well, I can't say nobody's jobs because I can guarantee you the people who tried to do political interference will be fired on day one. That's not optional. So if you're willing to do that for any candidate, whether it's me or someone else, that tells me that you have no loyalty to the taxpayer. You have your loyalty to the people that you're with. So some people do have to go, but it's like a handful of we know the corrupt ones. Nothing major, but no, there's no job or no insight from this man that I would take as as word that I should follow. Everything he's done, I would say anybody can come in here and do this job. Just do the opposite of what he's done, and you'd be more successful.
that's
So
yeah. Yeah,
On
no,
the
that's a
forensic
pretty
one.
good thing. He's the worst for me. I've been in this business a very, very long time, and I've been involved in negotiating with the city, sued the city, and done a lot of things. So there are a lot of people out there. You get in there, you have to surround yourself with people who have proven they actually know what they're talking about. And it's always, I mean, if you get in and hopefully, my opinion of Paul Coogan has been very clear. He is absolutely the worst mayor in the history of this city, and I go back a lot of mayors. Unfortunately, I've never seen anybody so incompetent and just a total. He's all he is just like a paper cutout. They might as well. He could not show up for work for probably a week, and nobody would know the difference. But when you take over this city, you're going to have a Herculean task because we have gotten in such a mess, and I see the way they move the money around in this city because I look at what they've done with the health care, where we're $2 million they're $2 million in the hole, and I predicted that 6 years ago. You can't misspend money, and no matter who you are, you're going to have to. And I think you said it very well. You're going to look for people that are can do the job, understand it, have proven it, and that's what you have to do. But there's no blueprint because you're going into just like when you went in the military and I went in the military. You didn't know what you were in for till you got there. You have to learn what you're going to do. Every time you change something in your life, there is a learning curve, and and nobody is perfect. Nobody in the world is perfect. It's the outlook you have, and I think being in the military, and maybe I'm a little prejudiced, but I think that was probably one of the greatest learning experiences of my life. I mean, when I came out and went to college on a GI Bill, I learned a lot of minutia. But the greatest experience I ever had was being in the military and seeing people from different backgrounds going basically all over the world. And I think that gives you a perspective that helps you in every endeavor you have thereafter. And I think I'm really pleased to listen to you say that you understand it, and that's the key. I mean, if somebody tells me, listen, I know everything, I'm going to be the mayor, I'm going to fix everything in 5 minutes,
I
I
wish
got
I
a
did.
problem. I got a problem. We
I
all
wish I
do.
was the smartest one in the room, right?
But we all would wish that it was that easy. But
Correct.
what we want is we need a mayor who has a perspective based on the taxpayers, on wise the wise spending of our money, not just giving out pay raises. And okay, we got another question here. Uh, how do you feel about Paul sending down a confidential letter 2 years ago against the firefighters? Well,
Oh,
firemen.
for against the arbitration? Yeah, of course
Oh,
he did.
yeah,
But don't worry, he's all for the firefighters now, right? He's gonna
yeah,
fix
of
it
course it is.
because
Yeah, yeah.
he's no longer a
That's
vice principal. He's gonna be a mayor again. That's fine. Um, I was at the union meeting with the fire department. Obviously I knew I was walking into an ambush and it didn't go the way he planned, and that's fine. I am a lot smarter than I look, I promise. Like I said, I'm not the smartest one in the room. I was in there with a lot of people. All the city council was there, Cliff was there, Kadeem was there, Dion was there. They're all smarter than me, I'm sure. But I'm smart enough to know people are going to try to sabotage things, and I know the people. So he got caught lying, he got caught with his pants down, and I called it out, and it is what it is, and that's what I do. I'm not going to sit here and back down. I think the problem is, and why they're so caught off guard, and why they're trying so hard to cover everything up and keep me out of the media and do the things that they're doing and putting out signs, which he's never done like this, because I don't think they were expecting somebody to stand up to them. I think they were expecting what Christopher did. They were expecting those kind of things. They're used to that, right? They get to the people, they get into your skin, they get to your family, and they're used to that stuff. People have already tried that. It's not going to work. If you
well,
don't like me or you don't like something I've done in life over the last 45 years, get in line. I don't know what to tell you. I don't like some of the things I did in 45 years, but you know what? You live, you learn, you grow, you move forward. As long as my kids are happy and my kids are still here and they know I got their backs, everybody else's approval is not needed, right? Votes maybe, but approval is not so much. So I don't really care about that stuff. So I did go into there, and he had no answers even then. Oh, I'm not ready to put my name on that. Oh, I don't think I'm ready to sign off on that. There's no commitment from this man because there's no leadership from this man. He has no idea. So until his handlers tell him what's okay to say yes to, he's not going to say yes to it. That's why he made it so both of these next two debates on the 21st and the 29th are in a studio so he can answer his phone. The camera's not on him. The people aren't watching him look through his great big book of everything. His Dora the Explorer backpack and his cell phone going off so Tom Corey can send him the answers. All that stuff happens live. He can't do it. And you can see he gets flustered. And then he's talking about how he's the only Democrat and how nobody else can get anything done and how, white kids are the only ones that are smart, right? Like these are the things he says when he goes off script and he can't find his answers fast enough in his little book. So that's why he did that. So I'm very disappointed. I'm not going to lie. Outside, like I said, I don't agree. I don't think that Florida reporter or anything gave him answer. I don't believe any of that stuff. I think Mike was pretty fair in the questioning with me, Carlos himself. I think he was. Um, as far as the other stuff, I don't really care. It's not my business. My goal is to win an election right now. But I am very disappointed that they are allowing this to be in a studio, not in a live audience, not in front of the people who deserve to hear firsthand and see it. Whether it's on social media, whether it's on TV, whatever it is. Oh well, they're all going to watch. Listen, if you're home, you're not fully paying attention. If you're there, you're paying attention. You're seeing everything, and you get to see how easily he gets flustered when he can't maneuver around questions. When you're not on camera, because the camera's posted on me because it's the question, he's sitting there looking at his phone, getting the answer. I've seen it done. I watch him do it. He's getting his answers. He's looking at, okay, all right, all right, I'm gonna read this. And that's it. And he goes right to the page. They tell him where it's at. Like he's got a whole team sitting there guiding him. He's not debating. He's a fraud. He's a fraud.
Well, I think that's an accurate thing. We all know that. Look, by his own admission, as you said, by his own admission, he said, I'm a vice principal. He said, I don't know to things when he's under the gun. and he doesn't have somebody helping him with an answer numerous
Mm-hmm.
times, that he wasn't good with numbers, he wasn't good with this, he's
Yep.
not, he can't do this. And that's the problem. And as far as the debate's concerned, Boomer, I can tell you, as someone who ran numerous debates, very large debates, most of the time when you get those debates, you got partisan audiences that, you got a few people in there that are not committed. And people, I think debates are highly overrated on the local level, maybe on a national level, because that's
Yeah.
the only forum you can see. I think what
Correct.
really makes people is something like we're doing like now, letting you speak and say what you think, and say that, to see the type of candidate, the person you are, um, uh, that you said, okay, and it's refreshing sometime to see candidates say, listen, I know I don't know everything, and that's the key. Nobody knows everything about what they do,
Of course
and
not.
the reality is that if you do something for a very, very long time, then you'll get pretty good at it. But the problem is, when you first begin anything, you need that attitude of, I've got to learn this job, and I've got to attach myself to people who really have done well and performed well. And that's why people always have, who are successful, always have good mentors, like I did in the union. I had one of the most powerful union leaders in the country. I was fortunate enough to be part of the state union with him, and I became very close to him. He was unfortunately killed in a drunk driving accident while he was still the president. But this is where you learn. And he told me great advice. He said, "Look, it's going to take you a time to learn, but you have in those days, dating myself, a Rolodex of people who know all the subjects you need to know, and reach out to people who know what they're doing, and defer and listen to them and defer
Henry
to
Ford's
them."
got what, an 8th grade education?
Yeah,
But he
yeah,
knew exactly who to call anytime he picked up the phone, right? And that's it.
exactly, exactly.
I don't claim to know it all for sure, but I know what I want to do, and I know, okay, we got to go in this direction. Okay, now let's find out who the best is to get to this direction. And that's it. Like, I don't claim to sit here and say, I'm going to go in on day one and we're going to fix all of these issues. Do I have plans and ideas to start redirecting and fixing these issues? I absolutely do. Can I get them all done in a term? Highly unlikely. But I'm positive if I even got 2 or 3 of these things done, do you think our city's in a better position than it was yesterday? I do. And that's where I'm at, right? Obviously, I want to accomplish everything as fast as possible because, one, I'm competitive, and two, I like to prove everybody wrong. But unfortunately, government, there's regulations, there's red tape you got to fight. There's going to be people against me trying to protect the themselves and everybody that was involved. And when I'm asking for a forensic order into DCM, when I'm asking for a forensic order into the water department, the things that have been proven to have criminal activity, of course I'm going to get pushed back because they didn't do that by themselves. They didn't get that approval by themselves. So of course that's going to happen. However, I'm willing to fight that and I'm willing to do that. But
Okay.
but the immediate thing that has to be done is I need to reorganize the budget. I need to reallocate the money. I need to try to claw back some of the opera funds for some of the nonsense it went to and utilize it to get us out of the hole that we're in immediately. That's going to be the immediate relief to the people while we're dealing with the fighting, while we're dealing with the unions and the new contracts and all the other stuff that's going to be, coming my way, and craziness. I got that. In the meantime, got to clean up the streets, and and on top of that, yes, Kevin, Jeff's asking about the Fiolas. On day one, the RDA, all that stuff, everything that I need to do to remove that plague on this city is coming. And that's why people are targeting me. That's why you think they're already not looking to try to find a way to sue me and take money from me and try to get me in trouble. You think they're not looking? Of course they are, because they know that's what's coming. Okay. I expect it. I know that's what's coming. And there's nothing I can do about what they're going to try. But what I can do is expose it in the meantime while they try. It's the best
Okay.
I can do. And if the people want to listen and the people want to pay attention, I hope they do. My goal for this whole first term, when I'm elected, is to make sure these people never fall for the stupidity and the corruption ever again. Oh, look, it
Okay.
could have been done. They could have did this the whole time, but they chose not to. They could have saved us this money the whole time, but they chose not to. That's what I want to show everyone, that it can be done. The problem
And
is there's no incentive for the corrupt to do it.
and hopefully, hopefully, before you answer this question, so it shows that we'll either put people in. We've got somebody that's supposedly a communist that wants the city to become communist. But I'll let you. But before that, as the mayor, you know that as you said, you know that there are things, and you will as mayor. So I assume you will institute safeguards against this and implement total transparency like they've done in Newton, where if you pick up the Newton budget and look at it someday, you'll see that every single department is required to send in a synopsis of what they're going to do for that entire fiscal year. They have a recap of everything they had promised to do the previous year, what they got done, why if they didn't get anything done. And anybody in Newton can walk in to that city hall and look at the budget and actually see where their money is being spent. Things like this really work well. And with that, I'm going to, unfortunately,
and that's why the filers come here, because we don't have that kind of transparency.
That's right, exactly.
And that's why they make the money here. We know.
So we're going to ask you the question because we pride ourselves on being, we will let everybody make us, ask the question.
Listen, I've done 4-hour interviews open to the public. I don't shy away.
Do you support making illegal private ownership of property? We have our Fall River Mondami here, ownership of private property in the city and landlords, and basically saying that we need the next comment is we need communism in Fall River. So
I assure you, communism will never be anywhere around me. So there's that.
Well, you've got my vote on that one. So. Yeah, and then we have another comment. Basically, that it's just a comment; it's not a question. It says they'll always give outsiders a hard time. Well, you're right. As we all well know, when
there's a difference with a hard time and trying to ruin people's lives, right? You want to give somebody a hard time, that's one thing. These people are willing to, they don't care how my kids eat tomorrow. They don't care if my kids are home alone because I go to prison for whatever bullshit they try to set you up. They don't care about these kind of things. These people care about themselves, their money, and getting out scot-free and leaving us with the bill. That's all these people care about. They're sociopaths. They're not people. They're sociopaths. And that's what we're fighting against.
Yeah, well, we have somebody giving us the Communist Manifesto. That's not a question. That's your version of how we can do it. So that's not gonna fly. We're not gonna put that thing up about how if we turn over the land to the government, we're gonna do better. Since communism has failed everywhere in the world, we're not gonna do that. But you're right. But that's the problem with politics. They have to resort to really, really destroying people because they don't want people to look at the candidate and get to know them as a person, as a human. Say, how do you feel about this? You're here talking to us, but they want to, and we all know it's on record that Kenny Fiola, once he was removed like a tooth with a massive cavity in it and bad roots, that he was on the verge of bankruptcy till he got back in with the government. Now that he's back into the government,
because they have no concept of money, they just think they can continue making it forever and ever and ever. That's the problem. They're so used to it.
Back in, now he's loaded again. He's flush, as they say. So
he's loaded. Well, here's the thing. How do you have a $5 million deal on the waterfront? No attorney on record, no nothing. The city didn't make any money. Froa didn't make any money. Nothing came in. You don't got to report anything, but yet you were the consultant. How you should not be allowed to work for the city and negotiate property deals. You should not be able to be on that board and negotiate property deals while on that board and for 3 years after. Because that's personal gain and you have inside knowledge. That's no different than insider trading. You shouldn't be able to do it. That gives you an unfair advantage to take from the people that you are supposed to be working for. And I've asked everybody. I asked the mayor. Name one company, one business, one job, something that this man has created in the 6 years that you've had him here. Name one thing. Oh, he brought Amazon here. Did he? No, he didn't. He just happened to be on a call. He didn't do anything. And they don't pay us anything. So bringing Amazon here doesn't matter. Are they hiring the 80% of the Fall Rivers that they're supposed to do? Did anybody check on that? Nobody's looked at that, right? So we have no idea if they're even honoring their contract, right? Not that I'm against Amazon. I want it here. I like that it's here. I get my packages faster. I don't care. They're creating jobs. I'm good with that. If people don't want to go there and work, hey, that's on them. Get up and get a job. That's on you. You know what I mean? I'm not going to hold the company responsible for going to look for you, but Somebody's got to be checking on that. Hey, if you violate that and you're not at 80% fall over, show me the applications. Are you not? Are they not applying? If they're applying, why are you not choosing? There's got to be some kind of accountability to be held, to be had. Sorry. So City Hall's the same thing. Accountability has to be had, and that's every department. So when you were talking before, Chip, about Newton has this annually, they got to put in their scope of work and all this stuff. They're not going to have just annually. You're not getting a raise. You're not going. I'm not going to the city council with a new budget with all these automatic raises for everybody without having 12 months of record of what you actually accomplished in your job. This was your scope of work for the year. How much of this did you complete? How many days did you, you know what I mean? All this stuff has to be taken, counseling statements, right? You were in, right? Counseling statements. Look at it that way. NCOERs, right? This is what you go by. I have 19 years of NCOERs. Anybody can request them from me anytime they want. I'll gladly give you every one of them. Okay. You want to see my service? Here it is. I had to justify why I was promoted above everybody else every time. Why I was top of the list every time. I had to justify that. Why shouldn't city employees have to justify why they're going? They want me to go to the taxpayer and say, I want raises for all of my people because, well, just because we can do 2.5% and it says we can. No, that's the wrong answer. Justify it. Show me why. Because you know what? Maybe I don't have to raise taxes at all. Maybe I only have to do 1% because, you water department didn't do anything or whatever. Like there's so many different reasons why you need to justify it what it is. Taxes go up. I understand that. First responders need to get paid, contracts, all that stuff all plays a role. I understand that. And I have always said from day one, I do not want to raise taxes. The only stipulation to that is first responders making sure that they are flush and fully covered with what they need. Because without that, we don't have a reason to grow or do better. You're telling us the rezoning and all the nonsense that's going on, the zoning, the ZBA right now that's owned by Paul Coogan, and they can pretty much do whatever the hell they want, is destroying the outlook of this city. It's destroying the historical part of this city. They just don't care. They want to fill it all in as fast as possible. You think it's all coincidental that Paul Coogan is now pink slipping all these properties and taking them as fast as possible and trying to get them to auction right away as fast as possible? You think that's just because he finally woke up and said, "Hey, this is what we should have done from the beginning"? No. They're trying to hoard it all as fast as possible before he gets out of office. That's all it is. They don't want us to be able to take them and utilize them. They don't want us to be able to grow and get better. He wants his 5 families of fun to be able to hold it all and do it all and make it look like we're incompetent and can't do anything in the event that he does lose. And he is going to lose.
Okay, let me just interject here. We've got a couple of questions that we want to get to.
Shoot.
Jeff,
That's what I'm here
Jeff
for.
started about the school committee. We had numerous shows about this school committee, and we know that I mean, we have people that ask questions. They're suppressed. We have issues as the ex officio chairman by by design. That's what we are in the city. Would you would you be involved in a school committee and be a someone who promotes the questioning of school committee people about expenditures and things? Because Paul Coogan routinely tells people they don't get to see the numbers. They don't just vote and shut up and just do what I tell you to do. I mean, I know this is kind of an easy question to answer, but somebody did ask it, so I will let you answer it.
This is a tough one. Let me think. Um, so anybody that knows me knows education is one of the main reasons why I'm doing this. That is when you asked before, like why I want to run for mayor. The education system and the complete failure of our leadership and the good old boy system and the cover up system and everything else that goes on in the education department. And that's no hit to our teachers, by the way. I promise you the teachers want me in office over this man. So for me, yes, I want to be involved every step of the way. I would like to get to a point where the school committee could function without being under the iron fist of the mayor being there, right? I would love for that to be a thing where they're actually looking out for the children and doing the right thing for the parents, the children, and the actual system itself and how it's supposed to be. But I don't think that's anywhere close to what's going to happen right now. I do believe we're going to do that. I do believe we have a lot of talented people running for school committee, and thank God we're losing two of them. I'm hoping we can get rid of two or three more. That would be fantastic. But I don't care. I'm not afraid to say it. You had some corrupt ones. There's a few city councilors that I'd love to get rid of as well. But I do believe, we need to go there focused on what needs to be done. And I don't care about executive sessions. Show the numbers, show the truth of what's going on. Stop protecting the pedophiles, stop protecting the corruption, stop protecting the Malones and the good old boy system. Stop it. I don't care. You're not going to be allowed to resign if you do something like that. I'm not accepting your resignation. You are getting fired. It is going on record. We are going to protect the next child in line. We're not going to let you just go to another school system and go do it somewhere else because we're worried about people wanting to move here or spend money here. I don't care. I think people would rather spend money here and come here knowing that we don't take any bullshit and we step up and we hold people accountable more so than, oh, that stuff doesn't happen here. It happens everywhere. The difference is we're going to control it, we're going to acknowledge it, and we're going to make sure it doesn't happen again because we're going to set the example based on who does what. So
Okay.
yes, I will absolutely be involved. I will absolutely push for more transparency as opposed to executive sessions. If it's something that's going to protect a child, things like that. Yes, absolutely going to be understandable. We're going to an executive session because we can't just let anybody's information fly like that. We may need to do executive session until we have actual proof that it happened, not just an allegation, right? We can't just come out and just fire everybody because of an allegation. We need to have the proof. Once the proof is out there, I will 100% push to have it exposed. You're not going to do it anywhere else. We're not going to endanger another person because we want to cover it up. I don't care who your friends are, who you're related to, Auntie Fiola. I don't really care who it is. We will expose everybody. Your brother's on the school committee, your cousin's on the school committee. I don't care who it is. You're in the band with this guy that's on the school committee, so you're going to cover it up because you're the principal. Yes, Matt Damaris, I'm talking about you. I don't care. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not afraid to call these people out. I don't care. They all cover it up. They are all responsible for the school system being exactly as poor as it is because we're not focused on education. We spend more time covering up sexual assaults and deviances and all the nonsense, the drug abuse, the security guards, the affairs, the inappropriate relationships with teachers and students. We're covering all that stuff up. And how the hell are you going to focus on education? You can't.
I think what you just said and made it very clear with examples though. You talked about something we're always talking about, accountability.
Yeah.
That's real simple. I mean, we should hold our employees accountable for good performance and bad praise.
I'm going to be held accountable. Everybody's going to come to the
That's right.
council to
And
complain
they will
about
be
me,
held
right? And what I didn't do.
And we'll get to the next question here. It's from
Go for it.
Nelson. State auditor for FRLP. Was
The
very
line there,
very-
yeah.
I don't know if you can. Yeah, you can. I don't know if you can read that.
Yeah, I can see it. So the state audit report for the floor of a line pier was very devastating to learn about, not accurately keeping check. I mean, that was Mr. Fiola, right? She made it very clear that Ken Fiola was corrupt or incompetent. Either one shows that
both.
he is not fit for the job.
Or
So correct. Well, we know it's both. But listen, he could be a great attorney. He could be a great real estate attorney. He could be a great, guy to come and sue me and try to take everything from me to try to shut me down. I'm sure he's going to do everything he can because his livelihood is about to be at stake again. That's not my problem. If you're so successful and you're so great at everything you do, and the mayor says you're the only one that's qualified to do this position, this position, this position, then you shouldn't have a problem finding another job. You shouldn't want to work for the city because the city seems to be holding you back. That's why you're doing all these private deals and not paying the city a dime. And the city's actually paying you to go do those private deals. So you know what, Ken? You're going to do great elsewhere because you're going to be able to do as much corruption as you want. And you don't have to worry about doing it for minimum dollars in the taxpayer's dime. I'm doing you a favor. You're welcome. That's how I look at it.
Well, I think that's a pretty clear answer to the people. They know where you stand on the issue, and that's what we like to do. Like to know where people stand on the issue. Now we've got Stevie. You can this one because
Coogan is probably Yeah, probably the most pro LGBTQ mayor in fall of a history. There was a drag time story hour where the mayor stood with them and Antifa. Will you offer the same support and encouragement for those groups as Coogan did? I assure you, the government has no place standing in for every group that comes through and every nonsense. Okay. The mayor can take a knee with whoever he wants. The mayor can do whatever he wants. I'm not Paul Coogan. I'm here to run a city. I'm not here to play politics with, whatever's popular today or who likes me or who doesn't. I don't care. You want to go have a parade? Go have a parade. You want to go be yourself? Go be yourself. I'm not here to play part in it and make it a political event, because that's none of that is a political event. That is your personal views and personal life, and do what you want to do. My daughter wants to go to gay pride. I bring my daughter to gay pride. I don't care, right? That has nothing to do. I don't expect, oh, I showed up at gay pride with my daughter and the mayor wasn't there. It's not his job to be there. It's just not. So we need to start separating politics from all of the personal propaganda stuff and all the other stuff. We have to separate that again. One has nothing to do with the other. I'm not against it. I can care less. People can be whoever they want. I
There is
don't believe you need to force anything on any other person. That's all I
Yeah,
believe.
there is a separation between these things, and
Correct.
the thing is, I think Paul Coogan showed the difference in your perspective. In my, I think our perspective has been made very clear. I don't care what anybody does on their own time, but the fact is that the mayor should not have been with when there were people that represented religious groups across the street praying, and he was with the LBGQT plus people. He was picking a side. The mayor should be there to ensure that everybody had the right to peacefully express their opinion in his city, and that was the end of it. As you said, what you do in your private time is different. When you're standing there as the mayor, and you're sending a message that this is the city's position, not your personal position is your person, unless you make it perfectly clear. So when you stand with and I have no problem with if it's legal, they have a right to do it. That's what we have to understand.
Correct.
And so he had every right to go there and say, okay, I want to make sure that they have their peaceful exercise of their rights, and the people from the religious groups should not have picked a side. It showed a lack of not only leadership but character, in my opinion. So,
Well,
okay.
I agree. I don't care which side you're on. It doesn't matter to me. Do I think Antifa is anything special? No, I think Antifa is a bunch of terrorists and should be treated as such. However, they weren't being violent. They weren't doing anything wrong. You have a right to peaceful protest. You do what you got to do. When you violate the laws and you start attacking my police officers, or you start attacking innocent people, or whatever it may be, that's your problem. That becomes my problem. That becomes a taxpayer issue. The taxpayers are paying me at that point to be part of this. You're not paying me to show up to pride parades or I don't know, Portuguese Day or whatever. You're not paying me for that. That I work 24/7 as the mayor. I have no problem with that. I'm going to show up to every event that I can because I want to support everybody. Is that feasible all the time? No. Is it feasible for him? Yes. He's 76 years old, no life, no kids, nothing to do. Sure, he can walk around and shake hands and give away all his donor money all he wants. The guy comes in. This business owner has 10 family members. He gives him $1,000 for each family member. Here's $10,000. Paul shows up. Here's 250 for your organization, 250 for you, 250 for you. Everybody loves him. Oh, he's such a great guy. He always donates. No, he didn't. The guy that owns that company that's about to get $20 million jobs all year round on your tax dollars that are about to go get raised, gave him that $10,000 so he can go get him $20 million. But you fell for it because he showed up with somebody else's money, paying you to keep him in office so they can keep getting the deals. It's a scam. It's all a scam. I have people who won't even donate because they're petrified to be on the list. Boomer, you have my vote. My whole family's voting for you. Thank you for doing this for us. We appreciate you, but I can't give you a check because, once I'm on that list, he's going to send the building inspector in. He's going to send the health inspector in. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. You should not be afraid of the people who govern you. We work for you. Why are you afraid? I have a guy who told me, put a sign up over here, do this. Oh wait, you can't put a sign there because he works he works in this department for the city and they're gonna fire him. What? You're gonna fire someone because he believes in somebody else's views? That is ridiculous. When I'm in office, If you support somebody who's not me, go for it. Wear the shirt. Bring it to work. I don't care. Tell me why. I'd love to know what I'm doing wrong. I'm not going to sit here and fire you because you don't support me as the mayor. You want somebody else. That's your that's your freedom. I spent half my life fighting for that. Like, what the heck are we doing here? So I don't worry about that stuff, But no, I mean, he can be the most LGBTQ mayor you think of. That's fine. My daughter's gay. So if you think he's more supportive than I am, by all means, let me know. I can care less. Right? Me and her have had arguments about non-binaries and all this other stuff. We argue all the time. But do I not support my daughter because she has friends that think a certain way? No, that is their business. I just don't let it indoctrinate other children or make her be part of whatever it is. This is my belief. You can believe what you want, but this is mine. I'm not going to change for you, or I accept you for you, but I'm not changing because you believe a certain thing. It's the same thing on a large scale. It just is what it is.
Well, I think that's
Let them up,
that's
please.
a pretty 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 good perspective. Everybody obviously has their own perspectives, but as you said, people lose sight of a very, very important thing. When you're the mayor, you're here to be the mayor, not to be a
For
politician. People forget.
everyone, correct.
And as John Kennedy once said, when you retire from politics, he said you will be judged on whether you were a statesman or a politician. So statesmen work for the people, politicians work for themselves, and this is the key. The key is that the people of Fall River. It's been a long time since we had a mayor whose focus was the people, and regardless of what type of life they want to live, as you said, um, it's your job as the mayor. And this is my opinion, obviously.
Yep.
It is your job to make that the quality of that life as good as you possibly can. That's your job as the mayor. That's
Correct.
your job. Because
For everyone, not
for
specific
everyone.
groups.
That's right.
For
It doesn't
everyone.
matter. And whatever political subgroup they fall into, a mayor should not be looking at the voting block it's bringing them. He should be looking at making the city good for everybody, and
Correct.
regardless, and that's the key. And we have seen, probably, unfortunately, and as you are, I'm not afraid to say things. I've been saying things in front of that council for far too many years, and a lot of people get really offended. But the fact is, I've always said that we have a city that ignores the people far too often. As a guy that fought in the union for 25 years against some of the corruption that we've had, but never to the degree. And I can say it, and I'm not saying this for hyperbole, because look, Coogan and I started off years ago when he was said that the school was going to be paid. We said no. We were supposed to be friends. We're no longer friends, I don't think. And I personally, he's shown character-wise, I don't want to be his friend. But the fact is that he is the most incompetent, but not only incompetent, he is the most mean-spirited mayor, because he doesn't care about the people, and he's made it obvious. When he says
doesn't
to
have
people, when he says to people that, if you don't like it, move. If you don't like it, go jump in the Taunton River. These things are unacceptable from a person that was elected to make this city great for everyone. As it says in our preamble to the Constitution, we have to, we have to make life better for everyone. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, and here it comes, to promote the general welfare of ourselves and our posterity, not just the people we like, not just the rich people, not
But just the people he likes are the only ones that are voting. And it's the people
right.
that need to get out, register today to vote, and go and vote. Because clearly he doesn't have to care about you or the rest of the population, because he knows you're not going to show up to vote. That's his mindset. He only has to work for those select people because those are the ones that keep him in power. Those are the ones he has to make sure the money funnels through to keep him in power so they can keep cycling your tax dollars. Those other 70% of the population, that doesn't own property need to go vote too, because you're the ones that are paying the higher rents and complaining about, oh, the landlord. It's not the landlord, it's your government. The landlord is making money any way he can. The government's the one doing it. Like you have to look at the bigger picture, and obviously we don't educate kids to do that. We don't educate people to do that. We make them smart enough. What was it, George Carlin that said, we just want them smart enough to run the machines, right? Was that George Carlin, right? So that's it. We just want to give you just enough education to make sure you can run the machines and keep running the machines for the machine. That's all we would do. Get out and vote. That's the biggest answer and FU that you could give to these people is get out and vote and show them that you are no longer sheep. You're no longer going to let this small majority of the population dictate how the city is run for the rest of you. Get out. You are the answer. We are the answer. That's all it takes. Nobody's doing that. I think
Well,
Gene had a question about my service. Gene, I'm still in the military right now. I was off. I'm taking off AGR after my aneurysm, and they basically utilized that to basically get me out of the way so somebody else could get promoted. But I'm still M-Day. I'm actually waiting on a medical discharge, and they're just taking their time because that's what they do in the National Guard here. Unfortunately, all the great things that we get in the National Guard, we do get toxic leaders as well. So unfortunately, I am still waiting, and I have been off active duty side, off the active Guard Reserve side, AGR, since March 6th. However, I had a brain aneurysm last September, and that started a whole slew of them trying to find ways to remove me. So they put in false statements on me running for the Republican Party, which is a volunteer position, by the way. I don't get paid in that state position. It is all voluntary. So they did that, and when that wasn't enough, then they said that I was for like a 7-month period or something like that, at whatever it was, that I was inefficient at my job. Mind you, 10 days prior to that statement, and that's after they got the paperwork from my neurosurgeon saying that I'm not going to be able to perform military duties for an unknown amount of time. So once they got that, that's when they wrote that up. That were those false allegations to get me out of the way before the new list came out and his friend couldn't get promoted. That's what my commander did. So this is what we deal with. Okay. So if you really want to know the ins and outs of what I've been fighting and dealing with, that's what I've been dealing with. Um, 10 days prior to that, I have my NCOER, which is my basically is telling me how great I am. Where that same commander is saying how I'm the best the commander's ever had, and I've done everything, in which I have. I'm the only recruiter that's been a Director's 54 more than once, and I've done it 4 times. Top team leader, the only time I was a team leader. The top specialty branch recruiter 2 years in a row for the 2 years that I was that. So there's not a single thing that I haven't done to the best of my abilities, and I'm going to do the same thing as a mayor. That I guarantee. So if you want to know the story, and then the O'Regans want to send you information and try to get you to give me stuff, I'll give you the answers, buddy, and I have the paperwork to prove it if you'd like. So ask away. I'm not shy.
well, let me say, I know we're getting close to the witching hour. I want to, I want to thank you for your candor. And I think you showed the people who you are as a human being too, and as a person. And we will obviously let them judge. But you hit a note that we say on this show every single day about getting out the vote. It's up to the people, and I think that you were. It was refreshing to have you, not Coogan, stuttering and stammering and not being able to answer, or saying that I don't know what I'm talking about. At least, you showed that you showed who you are. You showed what your positions are. I think you were pretty clear. You answered the questions. In my opinion, and there were no prearranged questions on this. You came on here blind. You had no idea what was going to happen, and I
Never
commend
do.
you. We appreciate.
I
you
expected much more. Trust me. So I'm here.
yeah, so did I. But apparently your answers were enough to basically kind of hold the questions to a minimum. I think that's a good sign. There were not a lot of things, and You know, we didn't go off kilter about a whole bunch of minutia that really isn't appropriate. It's about whether you have the perspective and the wherewithal to be the mayor of the city of Fall River. I appreciate the fact that you were candid, you were honest. Nothing was prearranged on this show. Everything was, we flew by the seat of our pants, and I wish you the best of luck in this election. And we can have you on again at some point in time if you'd like to be on. So,
oh, listen, I've been on. I don't even know how many shows at this point. I got 3 more already invited to. I got a call today because apparently Mark Dion or something. Yeah, I'm not going on that one. That's the only one I'll say no to. The man has attacked me for no apparent reason whatsoever, other than he's liberal and hates everything else. So aside from that, I won't go on any show that has to do with him. But I mean, I don't back down. I've done 4-hour open seat shows where people can show up to the restaurant that we do it at. Anybody can come on the seat. Any citizen, anybody, come on over, ask your questions, talk to me, yell at me, say what you got to say, whatever you want to do. I do it live on Facebook, so you can do it on Facebook. You can do it on YouTube. You can do whatever you want. I'm applying to be the mayor for the people. The people have a right to answer, to ask their questions. Do I have all the answers? I highly doubt it. Have I been fortunate so far to have all the answers? I think so, because I think everybody just has the same bullshit general issues. It's so common sense that it's not that hard to fix, but they're just so used to not having to fix it, and they can keep stealing as much as they want. That's really it. It's not difficult for the problems that we're having. Is it going to be difficult when it comes to, like, the union negotiations and those things? Sure, absolutely. But that's what we have attorneys for, right? That's what we have people like you for, right? Hey, what does this mean? What is this? What are we doing with this? What are they trying to fly by here? Those kind of things.
yeah.
At the end of the day, Chip, I look at if I were voting for mayor and my options were anybody but Coogan, like everybody said, I'm going with that. I'll tell you right now, I would have voted for Mike Vandell before I voted for this man. I really
No,
would have.
You're in the
I
same
would've.
camp. Same camp.
Because
as
you know
I
what?
was.
He would have had the people around him to keep him in check and just put him in a room like they did with Biden, right? Just stick him in his room and we'll just sign everything for you. We'll take care of it. But he probably would have did a better job than Coogan, because Coogan is not running the city. Paul is not running the city. Paul is a face. He's a face that goes out into the public every day. He leaves. That's why you can't reach him after 2:30, 3 o'clock on a Thursday and a Friday when you're trying to get the stories. There's a reason he looks like he just woke up and was on a bender for freaking 4 hours before he shows up to a fire that unfortunately takes 10 lives. And now all of a sudden he can find money. Those are the Paul, like those are the Paul events that we see, that we know are reality. They're just praying that no tragedy really happens. There were gunshots again today, and there's other people saying it on Flanagan's post too, and I heard them. And I was at Tansy dropping my kids off at 8:45-ish, and there were multiple gunshots at that time too. I haven't heard anything on it yet, but I'm not the only one who heard it. And I know what gunshots sound like.
It's a block away from my house.
Yeah, so I was at Tansy, and I heard them. It sounded like they were coming from the Durfee way, right, from way up that way. And I'm like, that's not the gun range. That's too far off. You're not hearing that over there. I hear the gun range every day from where I live, but over there, I've never heard it. So I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But that was a lot of shots. I want to say it was about 6 or 7 of them. So
I think they said this was on Eastern Avenue. It's 5 shots.
Well, that was at like 5 a.m. though. That's a different incident.
Yeah. Okay.
They're saying that was at like 5 a.m.
But then again, remember, Paul said, "Don't worry about it. As long as they're not hitting anything, we don't have to worry." But that was Coogan's response to Josh. So, no, he's gone again. So, if we get him back, say
we're
goodbye.
out of time anyhow.
Yeah.
I want to thank you all for watching, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Thank you, Gabe, for being here on the show. And remember, get out and vote. It's important. Guess we lost him again. Once again, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Remember, it's going to get rainy out there.
Later.